Fear, it's a word that holds so much weight, yet so little form. It doesn't have a face, it doesn't have a voice. But nonetheless, it manages to shout louder than our aspirations, louder than our goals, louder than our own inner voice. It can disguise itself in so many ways: procrastination, perfectionism, self-doubt, anxiety avoidance. And eventually, without recognizing it, we begin developing a life around fear rather than through purpose. We limit opportunities before they ever come. We mute ourselves before anyone else gets the chance. And we trade our potential for a false feeling of safety. But what if we stop doing that? What if we choose to face fear in the eye, study it, comprehend it, and ultimately outgrow it? That's exactly what we're doing today. This isn't a motivational soundbite. This is a real, step-by-step method to helping you take fear off the pedestal it's been sitting on and take back the power it's been sucking from you. Because fear, believe it or not, is not your enemy. It's simply information. And if you learn how to interpret it, you can use it to change everything. Step number 1, identify the fear before we can do anything else. Before we can face it, battle it, or move through it, we have to identify it. And that's frequently the part most folks skip. We say things like, I'm stuck, I feel anxious, I can't decide, without stopping to ask the underlying question, what exactly am I frightened of? Because fear is rarely broad. It is specific. It's not just that you're terrified of starting a new job. You're afraid of not being good enough at that position. You're not only terrified of establishing a business, you're afraid of it failing and confirming that the reservations people had about you were right. You're not frightened of love. You're afraid of vulnerability, rejection, loss. When we don't acknowledge the fear, it functions in the background, dictating our judgments without our permission. But when we take the effort to isolate it, to call it out by name, we strip it of its mystery. And that alone makes it weaker. This is your first act of courage, acknowledging the exact fear without judgment. Not pretending you're above it, not sugarcoating it, just identifying it with clarity and honesty. Because once you know what you're dealing with, you're no longer fleeing from shadows. You're facing something genuine, and real problems can be handled. Step number 2, understand the root. Now that you've discovered what you're frightened of, it's time to ask yourself where that fear comes from. And this phase needs self-awareness, patience, and honesty, because most of our worries aren't born in the moment, they're echoes of the past. Maybe you dread being evaluated since, as a child, you were continually criticized for expressing yourself. Maybe you fear failure because the first time you tried something huge, someone laughed, and that moment burnt itself into your memory. Maybe you dread abandonment because someone important went away once, and you absorb that as something you did wrong. These encounters don't just disappear with time. They become emotional imprints. They establish unconscious assumptions about who we are and what we might expect from the world. The problem is, these views often go unquestioned. So we keep responding to circumstances not based on what's happening now, but based on what harmed us then. The good news: once you identify the basis of your fear, you may begin to reframe it. You learn that not every scenario is a threat, that not every risk will end in agony, and that you're no longer the same person you were when that original dread took hold. You've grown, you've learned, and you're permitted to let go of the old narrative that no longer matches the person you've become. Step number 3, visualize success. Fear loves to work in visuals. It thrives in our imagination, and more often than not, it fills that space with visions of failure, shame, regret, and loss. You go to ask for that promotion, and quickly your mind goes to being laughed at or rejected. You think about commencing a creative enterprise, and your brain quickly conjures up scenes of public condemnation and disgrace. These images are vivid, And because your brain doesn't always discriminate between imagined occurrences and real ones, your body reacts with genuine tension, real worry, and real avoidance. But here's the truth: you have the potential to take that same creativity and flip the script. Visualization is a method that's been tested and shown time and time again to reduce fear and boost performance. When you picture success, when you mentally rehearse the desired outcome, you're not just thinking positively. You're rewiring your brain. You're building familiarity with courage, with action, with winning. So don't simply picture the final line, visualize the process. See yourself coming into that room with confidence, presenting your message with clarity, responding to fear with strength. Make it detailed. Make it emotive. Make it so real in your thoughts that your body starts to believe it's already achievable. Because once you establish it within, it becomes a lot easier to pursue it externally. Step number 4, take small, strategic steps. Now we begin the phase of action. And this is where many individuals pause, not because they don't want to move forward, but because they think the only way to defeat fear is to make a great, dramatic jump. But here's what I want you to remember: boldness doesn't have to be loud. Courage doesn't have to be reckless. Courage, more often than not, is quiet, methodical, and planned. Think of fear as a mountain. You wouldn't try to scale it in one massive jump. You'd take one step, then another. You'd pause, regain your breath, reassess, and keep going. That's how progress is made. So ask yourself, what is the simplest action I can do today that leads me in the direction of what I want, even if fear is still present? Maybe it's making a phone call. Maybe it's sending an email. Maybe it's showing up for something you generally avoid. These steps may feel minor, but they build momentum, and momentum is crucial. Each time you act in spite of dread, you train your brain to regard fear not as a stop sign, but as a green light. You foster the assumption that action is possible even when doubt is prevalent. And over time, those tiny steps grow into tremendous progress. One decision at a time, you walk yourself out of fear and into freedom. Step number 5, reframe failure. This is possibly the most essential mindset shift in the entire process, because so much of our dread is centered in one thing: the fear of failing. The dread that we'll botch up, fall short, be rejected, or prove the inner critic right. And sadly, we live in a culture that praises success but rarely talks about the thousands of failures that came before it. We scan through highlight reels, comparing our behind the scenes struggles to someone else's end product, and we learn to believe that success should be smooth, uncomplicated, and immediate. But real success, the type that's meaningful, lasting, and deeply fulfilling, is built on failure. Failure is not a sign of weakness. It's not an indication that you're not cut out for something. It's an indication that you're in the game, that you have the bravery to try, that you're stretching, expanding, evolving. Think about every individual you admire, every athlete, artist, leader, or innovator. They didn't get where they are by avoiding failure. They got there by accepting it, learning from it, and continuing nonetheless. So when you fail, and you will, don't withdraw, reflect. Ask what it taught you, adjust, and then, most crucially, try again. Because the ones who succeed are never the ones who never fail. They're the ones who never quit. Step number 6, build a support system. No one conquers fear in isolation. As humans, we are wired for connection, and when we feel supported, we grow braver. Too often, fear blooms in silence. We're hesitant to talk about what terrifies us because we don't want to look weak, dependent, or damaged. But the thing is, the instant you communicate your fear with someone you trust, its power starts to lessen. You know you're not alone. You understand others have felt what you feel, have endured what you're experiencing, and have come out stronger on the other side. So surround yourself with people that uplift you, challenge you, and believe in you even when you're fighting to believe in yourself. Whether it's a mentor, a coach, a group of like-minded folks, or a close friend who listens without judgment, community counts, feedback matters, encouragement matters. Because when you feel held, you're more willing to take the leap. And when you fall, you're more likely to get back up. So don't strive to be the lone warrior. Be the connected warrior. That's the kind of strength that lasts. Fear may always be a part of your life, but it doesn't have to be the loudest part. It doesn't get to govern your choices, dim your light, or define your story. Unless you let it, you now have a tool set. You've learned how to name your fear, understand its foundations, rewire your mind through visualization, take modest and strategic steps, reframe failure, and establish a support structure that fuels your resilience. This is not a one-time remedy, it's a lifestyle, a mentality, a daily decision to keep showing up, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Because on the other side of fear is everything you've ever wanted. Growth, freedom, fulfillment, purpose. So take the step, even if it's wobbly, even if it's small. And if this guide helps you today, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone else who's battling the same invisible fights. Let's establish a community where courage is contagious and growth is non-negotiable. Until next time, keep going, keep developing. And remember, fear is not the end of your tale. It's the beginning of a breakthrough.